Welcome back to the Fi Guys. Happy Friday. If you're watching this on the day it was published, how cool is that, first of all? But if you're not, hope you're having a great day. Anyways, I'm Dom. He is Chris. Today we are recapping Monday's episode with Clint Harris. No affiliation with Kamala Harris. We probably should have asked about that, but we didn't get a chance to because we were having such an amazing conversation. Highly recommend you go back and watch Monday's episode. Wonderful episode talking about the transition from single family homes to multifamily homes to duplex to fourplex to Airbnb, making crazy money only to realize that you had the money, but you didn't have the freedom or the time. So he moved into self-storage, and I don't want to say life completed, but he was definitely in a great spot. Definitely in a great, wonderful spot. But yeah, Chris, what'd you think of it? What'd you think of that episode?
Man, I was so glad to have Clint come and join us on Monday to come and just really just drop some knowledge on us and be able to show our audience that there are so many different ways to achieve financial independence. And we've always talked about it in different ways. We always ask, like, what does financial independence mean to you? And I always try to make the point that, like, financial independence, yes, it's a goal, but it's not the goal. The goal should be freedom. The goal should be to spend time with your family. The goal should be to do what you want in life. And I really think that Clint was able to show that in his own story, that yes, he worked really hard to go from the single family homes to the duplexes, to the tris, to the quads, to the Airbnbs. And he ended up coming to the realization that, yeah, I might be bringing in a bunch of money, but without the freedom of time, none of it's really worth it. I think that was really powerful to have that heard by somebody else and echoed for me to be like, okay, cool. So, like, I'm not on the wrong path. I'm really glad that, like, you said that too. And hopefully our audience members are able to hear that and be like, okay, I get it. So when I'm thinking of my life 20, 30 years in the future, rather than working to get a bunch of money, to just have a big pile of money, maybe take some realization from other people that have said, like, yeah, I've gotten there and it wasn't what I thought I wanted.
Yeah.
But who knows? Maybe everyone just needs to go through it, get all the money, and then realize, like, oh, wait, this wasn't what I wanted. Because I know when I didn't have money and people said, like, money isn't the most important thing, I was like, no, shut up. I need money. If I had money, I'd be happy.
Yeah. He said something that I thought was so interesting, and it reminds me of a quote that says, if you can, and I might butcher this a little bit, and I'm sure you know the quote as well, but it was, if you can wait a year without, if you can do work and wait a year without getting paid, you can be rich, right? But if you can wait, I think it might have been 50 years or something, you could be rich, right? But if you can wait 100 years without seeing the fruits of your labor, you'll be wealthy or something like that. And I'm definitely butchering it. But the kind of moral of the story was that if you can wait, put in the work and not even see the fruits of your labor, right? Do something that's so impactful, but will be felt for generations. That's where the legacy play is. He said something that was so interesting when we asked him what his vision for financial freedom was. He said, my goal is to have my grandsons, my great, great, great grandson, be a great person and well off. And I thought that was so interesting. His time horizon was so long. Oftentimes we're worried about, damn, the power bill's coming. Shut the lights off. Damn, we got the Netflix bill just increased. Bill check to check. He's thinking generation to generation. It's a whole different ballgame, a whole different time for him. I think that's one of the things that we can really learn from and take a step back, right? Oftentimes we're too in the trenches of it. You need almost to step back, take a God's eye view of the whole situation at large to really get a better picture of what's going on. And I think when you're thinking long-term like that, generally you're making much better decisions.
Yeah, I agree with that. One thing I was thinking when he was saying about, like, being the person that my great great grandkid is proud of. That was something I was thinking about. Is I think we can all look back in our history and we can think of, like, our grandfathers or our great grandfathers and be like, yeah, they did some stuff that, like, did not age well. Like,
Gotcha.
maybe I have, like, maybe family members that, like, once owned slaves or, like, did something like that, and you're like, yeah, that doesn't sound great today. But I think that even if it's a societal norm to do these things, like, oh yeah, it was societally normal for everyone to have slaves, but, like, that didn't make it right. And like that's why people like had to basically run the Bible back 15 different times to figure out like how can we justify this. So maybe in your own life you can start to ask yourself, hey, is this the kind of thing that's going to age well? If my great great grandkid found out that I was doing this today in my time, regardless if everyone else is doing it or not, are they going to be proud of that? Are they going to in the future? Maybe we all went through COVID, and hey, everyone else they're hoarding milk and freaking toilet paper. So of course I hoarded milk and toilet paper. But in 3 generations from now, when they look back and they found out that grandpa was hoarding milk and toilet paper, they're going to be like, good on you, grandpa. They're going to be like, he was a coward. Like he didn't need any of that. He took from others that which he did not need.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And that's such a cowardice act too. I think that's a brilliant way of looking at every decision you're making is, like you said, as if they're looking at you right now, because you're writing your own history book. You're writing your own history book. Would they be proud of the history that you're writing? I sure hope so, because the history, the things we do in life echoes in eternity. So we got to make sure that what echoes is something that we can live with or die with and be proud of.
One thing that I really appreciated about Clint when he came on was he's definitely a real estate guy. Like that's his big thing. He started in real estate, but one thing that I really, really appreciated with him, because we've had other guests come on the show. We've had some that we've recorded that I refuse to release because people just come on trying to sell us something or trying to sell our audience members something. And that's not something that I'm willing to like put our audience members through. I'm not trying to put them through a 4-hour sales pitch as to why someone's investment's the best investment. What I liked about Clint is that he said like, hey, I just want you to know that self-storage, real estate, all of this is a tool that you have the ability to put in your toolbox or put in your tool belt. There are other options that you can do. Maybe this is not the right option for you, but if you don't even know that this is a tool that you could have in your tool belt, then you're never going to know that like, hey, this situation calls for this tool. It's like I talked about on a few weeks ago on one of the pods. In jiu-jitsu, there's like an old adage that if you're using too much muscle, you're using the wrong tool. Just like if you're a mechanic and you're trying to turn wrenches and you're sitting there and you're just torquing as much as you can, okay, maybe you need a longer wrench. Maybe you need a longer lever. Maybe the tool you're using is not the right tool. So by Clint just coming on here and saying, hey, there are other tools that you can have. That way, maybe when you get to a spot in life where like, hey, my investments aren't working, I'm not getting to the place that I want to go. Oh, hey, what's that other tool that I heard about back then? Because if you never even heard about it, you never even conceive of it as an option for what you can do with your portfolio.
100%. 100%. And I think one thing that he breezed over, he did not mention at all, and we really didn't mention it last podcast too much, or this podcast yet, but he was raised poor. One of 6 children. Poor. Very poor. And now he's running this big business. He's done very well for himself. He's creating a generational legacy. So it shows that, well, he's a very nice guy, right? Smart guy, right? But there's nothing special. Anybody could do it. And anybody can do it. But like he said, I'm a born salesman. I wake up every month, I start at 0. I wake up, I kill, I eat. That's what I know. I love that. I love that. And he had that drive and that ferocious animalistic vibe to him that pushed him to find what he was looking for. And he never really stopped hunting until he was satisfied with the kill. And the kill happened to be self-storage, right? And the syndication and all this different things. And I love that. I think that's very interesting. Because when I heard that, wow, he racked up 9 single-family rentals, I'm like, wow, okay, he could be done. He could be done. Done right there. You pay him off. Maybe they cash flow each one of them $1,000, $9,000. I could live on $9,000 easily. Done deal. No problem. Wash my hands. Good property management. That's the end of my story. He wasn't satisfied. He was looking for more. A lot of duplex, triplex, fourplex. Those went astronomical. He was saying they made $40,000 in a summer with their first Airbnb. Crazy numbers. Crazy numbers. Most people, a lot of people don't make that in a year, right? Most of the world doesn't make that in a year. And he could have stopped there. And a lot of people would have stopped there. But again, he knew his goal. He was looking for time, financial, and location freedom. The Airbnb makes a lot of money. It checks the financial box. But that's a business. You gotta be there. So it took his time and took his location. He couldn't leave for a summer, right? So while on paper it's like, wow, you're making so much money, like so much, like anybody and everybody would be happy with this amount of money. It just shows that money is not the goal. It's part of the goal, but it's not the whole goal. And that is so important. I know we're a financial podcast. We talk a lot about psychology, books, self-improvement. But this was kind of one of the first times I've heard that the time, finance, and location, which I thought was really interesting. So he exited that, or he didn't sell it, but he built a management company to manage that, and then exited from that, let them manage it. So then he went on to do the self-storage, which, is a lot less overhead than basically a hotel, which Airbnb is basically.
Yeah. It's so funny. When you get to meet somebody who is like so far ahead of where you are, and like he's what, 10 years older than me, like 15 years older than you.
Yeah.
And when you look at that, and I'm sure our audience members, they listen to Clint talking to you and like, man, I want his life. Like I want to get there too. And I know when he was talking, he was saying like, oh yeah, I went from here to here to here. And even me, like someone who is financially independent, I was like, man, am I settling? Like, am I not doing good enough? Like,
right?
Am I the one who's messed up here? And over the last week, I had to think about that and really like sit there and go like, no, that's Clint's game. This is the game that Clint wants to play. For me, like you just said that, like you have 9 rental properties, cash flow, and $9,000 a month. Like I'm good. I'm golden.
Washing my hands.
I'm done. Like I'm just gonna sit there and chill. Like I'll probably invest those and just like continue to live my life. And like I would rather live on less in order to have more time freedom. But Clint said, no, I want to keep this going. I want to keep this going. I want to keep this going. So while I may have the ability to have time freedom and a little bit of financial freedom, he also wanted the location freedom, which I've never really thought about. I've never really thought that like I want to have the ability whenever I want to go to Europe, to go to all these things, because I've sacrificed that in order to have the time freedom substantially earlier than I think Clint was able to get to. And that doesn't mean that Clint's wrong. That also doesn't mean that I'm wrong. That's something I had to struggle with over this past week, was to say, that's okay. That's his game. And why am I comparing my book to his book? Exactly. I could be happy with less. We're not sitting here comparing pocketbooks. At the end of our lives, when you really play this out, multiple generations, it really doesn't matter how much money you had in debt. It matters who you were. I think both of us, or I'll speak at least for Clint, he knows where he wants to go and he is working towards it. And he's put his family, especially the time with his 2 boys, ahead of making money at this point, which is awesome. I just want our viewers to be able to hear that and be like, okay, I understand where I'm going. And maybe that doesn't mean $60 million. Maybe that can just mean $6,000 a month or lower.
Yeah, or lower. And that's the personal side of personal finance. That's everybody's playing a different game, right? Knowing you don't want to be a landlord. I know you. I've met you. I know how you are. That's not your game, right? You love the passiveness of, a diversified portfolio in the stock market. That's the game you like to play. It's no different. Monopoly or chess or Grand Theft Auto or Call of Duty, right? There's different games to play. If you want something a little bit more chill, more laid back, stock market makes sense, right? If you want something a little bit more hands-on, a little bit more risk, maybe a little bit more reward if you play your cards right, then his route is a great route as well. And there's not a one or the other. I know I kind of dislike when you see people who have built financial respect in the community trash other ways people have gotten rich. You'll see like Robert Kiyosaki, like, oh, the stock market's rigged. I would never do that. What you need to invest in is gold and cattle. Or you'll see like people like Grant Cardone, very successful with multifamily. If you're going to buy anything real estate, it's got to be multifamily. Don't even do single family. It's like, and people in stocks, oh, I would never do real estate. This is way better. It's like you said, there's a million ways to skin a cat. These are all different games. People have gotten rich in all of them. People have lost money in all of them. There's rules to each of them. And there's personal kind of character traits that you might need in order that might fit you better than one or the other, you know? And like you said, I like how he wasn't trying to sell us on it. He was just telling his story and kind of inspiring
Yeah.
it.
I definitely agree with that. I think it's so difficult for viewers who are probably listening and who don't really have a background, like a very deep background in finance, because there's so many people online all in a screaming match of my way is right. Whatever way you're saying is stupid because that didn't work for me. This is what worked for me. And your ability, like if you have something else that worked for you, I can't allow that to happen in my life because then if I failed at it, that means that there's something wrong with me rather than maybe that person was just in a different situation, different time, different everything.
Yeah.
Like I've talked about it before, but there are three different ways of growing wealth, and each one of these ways works. And there's probably more than just three, but I broke it down into the entrepreneur, the side hustler, as you were, or the hustler, the investor, and the optimizer. And each one of these three are correct. Like you can be the hustler, you can be the entrepreneur. No, I can try to tell you exactly what Jeff Bezos did, Elon Musk, Mark Zuckerberg. That doesn't mean you have the time, talent, or the right location to figure it out, but you can go and read all their books and do exactly what they did. That might not work for you. You can also be the investor like Clint is, where Clint is going and saying like, oh, your stock market, Chris, that's kind of like 10%. I'm not really about that. I want my 20%.
Mhm.
And that works for him. And that means he's putting in the time and the effort to do that. Or there's my path, the optimizer path, where you're going to go out there, you're going to make money by bringing value to other people. You're going to live off less than you earn, and you're going to invest the difference, and you're going to be happy living on less than you have because you know that you're making a conscious choice to do that. And all three of these things work. Hustler works, investor works, optimizer works. But the reason that I like the optimizer, the reason that I try to teach that is because we can go through 1,000 different iterations of me teaching you what the optimizer or what the investor and what the entrepreneur does. But that doesn't mean that in 99 of the future realities, 99% that you're going to be successful. You might only be successful in 10, 20, 30% of those future realities. But I know with the optimizer path, if you can be comfortable on living on less than you make,
Mhm.
with the exception of like a zombie apocalypse or nuclear catastrophe, you're going to be fine. So I know this path works for me. And that's okay if other people are saying like, Chris, that's dumb because I can do these other things.
Yeah.
They're right. But that doesn't mean that I'm wrong.
Exactly. Exactly. I think that's what's one of the problems with this world is everybody's dealing in absolutes, right? And I'm very tempted to make a Jedi reference, but I won't. But it's either I'm right and you're wrong, or you're right and I'm wrong. And there's no middle ground. I don't know where this started. I don't know where this kind of divisiveness was created because both of us can be right, both of us can be wrong, and that's okay.
I have a theory on that as to
Okay.
like where this comes from. Where does this divisiveness come from? I know we did a podcast on the 25 different cognitive biases, and there's a few that are all working into that, which would be the Lollapalooza effect. The reason that we get so divisive is because there's multiple cognitive biases happening simultaneously. Number one that is happening that really puts people is that there's a tribal camp of, hey, I'm in this group with all these other people. That makes me feel safe. And if I go against the grain, then they can kick me out of the group. And if we were on a, you know, evolutionary psychology standpoint, that means if I get exiled from the group, I die. You don't survive alone by getting exiled out of the group. And then, addition to that, we crave certainty as human beings because certainty allowed us to move forward.
Mhm.
So, oftentimes, and it's more calorically difficult for your brain to have two different contradictions in its head. So, what I kind of think of is when someone says, like, oh, I'm all left, I'm all right, or I only invest in this way and I can't see of anything else. What I think of in my brain is, oh, so you're lazy. You're lazy because you can't even begin to try to conceive of different ways of doing things because your brain has just said, like, nope, we're not going to deal with this. I'm not going to put the extra calories towards thinking about it because your brain is still stuck in early savannah days where maybe we didn't get enough food for our brain to be able to cognitively think about this. But we live inside of a completely different time where people have way too many calories. You have so much calories. You should be thinking all the time because you're not worried about where's my next food coming from. All of these types of things. We're in an age of, yes, things are terrible. I agree with that. Things aren't perfect. But that also means that we live in the best times. And Clint really talked about that, was saying like, we have the advent of podcasts, YouTube, any information you want to learn right now, you can chat GPT it, you can YouTube it. Whatever way you want to learn, it is available on the internet for you to see that. If you like to read, if you like to watch videos, but that also means you actually have to go out and do.
100%. 100%. If you're just watching and not taking action, it's just entertainment. And I love entertaining people. I will say that. I like that. But I want to see you guys have a better life than you had last year and this year. So please take action. Please take action.
What are your thoughts on the self-storage thing? Was that something you might be thinking about?
I've been looking at it for so long. I love it. My whole strategy was wholesale real estate, save enough money for down payment on a single family home, or just wholesale into a probably a fourplex, right? Get an FHA loan for a fourplex, rent out the other 3 units, live in 1 unit, stay in it for a year, move to a regular home, just my home, not house hack again, but and then take that and continue doing wholesaling and raise rents and improve the property and use that as a down payment on a multifamily, right?
Okay.
Multifamily, do that. And then once you do like multifamily, it's like, okay, now I want to expand into like laundromat businesses and self-storage businesses, very cash businesses that are kind of economy. They don't get affected as much with the economy, right? If you have a single family home, the economy does play a role in it. But for stuff like storage units, not so much. I'm not going to say it doesn't affect it because that'd be foolish, right? If we had a stock market crash like the 1920s, yeah, business is freaking bad. But I always believed that before I could run, I need to walk. But that's where my mistake was. Me learning how to do single family homes has nothing to do with self-storage. Has nothing to do with it. The jump from single family to maybe a fourplex, easy. That's super. The jump from fourplex to maybe a 16 unit, that's a big jump. That's a much bigger jump. But the jump to self-storage, that doesn't even make any sense.
It's a completely different game.
It's a completely different game. Yeah. So my whole thought process of like, I need to walk before I can run. It's like, no, one's walking, the other one's swimming, right? They're 2 different sports. They're same active sports, but they're different. And if you wanted to, like he talked about, I love the idea. My childhood was filled with weekends with my dad, and I love him. I love my dad. He's amazing. Greatest guy ever. I love this man. My weekends were sometimes filled with, we got to go over to this location to fix the toilet, to fix the dryer, to change the air filter, to do these little things. So annoying.
To change the air filter?
Dude, I tell you this, one time we had a tenant move out. They'd lived there for probably 5 years. And, the appliances were already in there when they moved in. And, we're going through, we're checking everything. You pull the lint thing out. These were foreigners. They didn't know. It was never clean. Ever.
Surprised you never had a fire.
I'm surprised there was never a fire. Genuinely. Grace of God. I don't know how. I don't know how. These were the same tenants that were, the toilet's not flushing. It's like, brother, figure it out. Like, come on out. Like, what are we doing? It's so annoying. So that's not something I want. I don't want to be fixing toilets. I know how to fix a toilet now. I know how to do that. I have, in my life, I've become a handyman of sorts. I can't fix everything, right? My air conditioner goes out. I'm in trouble. Yeah. But I don't want that for my life. It's good to know, but it's not something I want to do. And now that I know that this is not something I want to do, I have a few options. I can either hire a better property manager that does it for me. It's going to charge me an arm and a leg and really cut into my cash flow. And I mean, really. Or I can play a different game. Yeah. Why don't we just take out the toilets? They don't need toilets. Why don't we take out the wash machine? They don't need a wash machine. Well, that's illegal. Definitely. Probably is. I'm talking about self-storage though. There's probably 1 toilet on the premises. Nothing crazy. It's so much more simpler. And what I've learned is there's so many old people in this world that are very rich, baby boomers, very rich, very wealthy. They're holding so much of the world's wealth, at least in America. And they're ready to retire. And oftentimes their children don't want to inherit the business. They want to get rid of it. And a lot of times they just shut down the business. They don't they don't even think about selling the business. They just shut it down. Or they might sell it to someone who doesn't really care, but then it's like they got nothing to do. Right? So I think my new philosophy is I'm going to continue with the wholesaling real estate. I like that. It gets me in. I still want to learn more about real estate. I still want to do real estate, but this has kind of shifted my mindset that, oh no, like self-storage that's step number 7. It's like, says who?
Yeah, those are your own limiting beliefs, and
My
those are
own
so
limiting.
hard.
Yep.
And now when someone else Clint has come in as a guide and like showed you that, hey, you don't need that. Like, you could be the hero, the victim, or the villain, but you can't be your own guide. And Clint just came in and he was your guide to show you like, hey, your thought process like isn't fully accurate. You
No,
don't need to
no.
do that.
And it's a low innovation space. Like there's not too much innovation needed into it. Higher tech keypads, stuff like that, sensors for the lights. Like it's not crazy. I'm not a tech company, So it's definitely shifted my entire, I don't want to say like vision for the future, but I think the idea of managing because like my goal, like, there's a mall where we live here in Arizona, and you drive past it and there's like this huge apartment complex. There's like 3 or 4 of them. And there's hundreds of units. And as a kid, I always see this, man, I would love to own this one day. I would imagine that. I drove by it every day as a kid, and now I own it, right? That'd be so amazing. And everything is great when you're ignorant. But once you get boots on the ground, you get more information. It's like that bell curve. When you're young, you think you know everything. And then once you start to learn stuff, you now know you don't know anything. That's kind of how I feel a little bit. I'm like, wow, yeah, why wouldn't I just switch to self-storage instead? It makes more sense. Now, granted, me personally, and this is probably another limiting belief, I can't do it on the scale he's doing it right now. He's doing multi-million dollar deals, high tech, I can't do that right now. But again, that's a limiting belief. I can do it. I can. I just don't have the knowledge and the guts to do it. That's the difference between him and I, and the money. But
And like you said, that's just going to come with time, and that confidence is going to come with time and actually following through with it. But
I'm in action. Yeah.
That's the reason I asked him that question about mindset, because that's the thing I struggle with the most. Is like, how do you show people that, like, at the end of the day, yes, everything might be terrible, and now what? Like, it does come down to personal responsibility. You can come from the worst place in the world, the worst slums, and like still make it out. But it comes down to you putting in the work, you learning, you putting in the action, you believing that it's possible. Because whether you think you can or you can't, you are right. You're exactly right.
100%. 100%.
I want to talk about one more thing when it comes to the self-storage thing. So I did ask him, like, what do you think about boomers and millennials? Because that's my thought process, right? I never even thought about drop shippers. That was never even a thought process.
Never crossed my mind. Never.
But I do have a thought that I would love to run by him again and like kind of see his thoughts on this. So I hear him saying that he said like, oh, well, millennials currently they have their storage units and they use them basically as a second closet outside of the home because everyone's renting.
Yeah.
And the boomer generation, they hold probably a majority of self-storage units. And when they do pass away, all of those self-storage units are going to just get cleared out by their kids. Like, their kids don't want to do that crap. They're just going to sell all of it or burn it, or who knows what's going to happen. There's going to be an influx of like stuff on the market, like just basically free things you'll be able to get. But one thing that I'm not sure if he thought about, but something that was kind of clicking in my mind is that's also going to happen simultaneously with all of the boomers passing away and all of their homes going on the market. So all of those millennials who are currently stuck in rentals may be able to just purchase a house finally, because now all the boomers are gone and all their kids who are inherited those homes, they don't want 3 other homes. They don't want to be, you already said they don't want to be business owners. They also don't want to be landlords. They're just going to sell the homes. And now all of the millennials that are currently using these storage units as second closets, they just move into a house and now they get to stop having that and put it inside their garage that's now in their home. And I think for baby boomers, the reason that they hoard is because their parents were children of the depression. So they learned from their parents or maybe of their grandparents that like we need to save things because the bottom can fall out, the floor can fall out below us literally at any time.
Mhm.
But us from millennials, yeah, we had 2008. Yeah, we had Y2K. Yeah,
Nothing
we
scary.
had COVID.
Yeah.
But like none of that was ever like besides COVID for like a second where it was like, oh my God, I can't get enough of the resources that I have. I think millennials are like, we like are now going more into minimalism rather than maximalism.
Yeah. That's what I'm worried too as well. Because every guy I talk to is like, dude, I just want to get some land and disappear. Like, I
Yep.
just want to go. Or it's
I just
just
want a
like,
lawn chair and a frisbee as a plate.
dude, dude, exactly. Make sure it can heat up in the microwave over a fire or something, dude. We'll be good. Um, yeah, so it's kind of weird. It's kind of a weird spot. It's like, well, is America going more into purchase? Are Americans purchasing more than ever, or are they going more minimalist? And it's weird because if I asked you, it's like, well, are people going to continue to buy stuff on Amazon and online? Like, is online selling stuff online, is that going to get more popular or less popular? Well,
More popular.
more popular, yeah. Um, but are people going to become more consumers or more? What would be a good word? Like just minimalists? That'd probably be.
Yeah, but even the stuff that you're buying on Amazon, they're usually like little things. And like I'm thinking with like baby boomers, like the stuff that I've seen in storage units by like baby boomers, it's all big stuff, like desks,
Yeah,
couches, stuff like
Chester
that that
drawers.
like
Yeah,
honestly should have been gotten rid of like years ago. But like
perfectly.
we
Yeah,
can't get rid of it. Like
yeah.
yeah, majority of it. Like when my grandma passed away, bro, we got rid of so many things. It was crazy how much stuff this woman had. Love my grandma.
Awesome lady.
Sorry she's gone, but like so much stuff that's like, why did you hold on to this?
Yeah,
But from that's from my standpoint of my life of like, why do you need all this? But from her standpoint of growing up in Mexico, really struggling, like when you got something, like you
you
cared for
held
that
on
and you
to it.
loved that
Yeah,
thing, you
yeah.
held on to it because you don't know when it could be taken away. But then as the kids of that, my dad and his siblings, they know how to deal with like, oh, now we have all this stuff.
Yeah.
I guess we're gonna call Goodwill and like see if they'll come up and take all of it because
Honestly,
we're not gonna sell it. We don't want it.
no, and like that's like the weird part about it too, because that generation, yeah, like you said, like they hang on to stuff. Like I know my dad, he has stuff in storage from literally my childhood, Chester drawers, right? And what I thought was also interesting, he was saying millennials are using it more like a closet, like, oh yeah, this is where I put my ski gear. This is where I put my so it's where I put like Christmas stuff, whatever. What I thought was so interesting about that was maybe people want to look minimalist without being minimalist. Because they have a natural instinct to want more, but they don't want to look like they have a lot. So they put it in a storage system where it doesn't, nobody sees it, right? You open up a garage, like, wow, your garage is so clean. It's like, yeah, I travel light. No, actually, I have like a 10 by 10 storage unit that I pay $400 a month in. So I'm wondering how much are people actually being minimalists or claiming to be minimalist and just shoving it in a storage unit, right? Because sometimes it's hard to part with these things. And I get the idea of like your grandma like not wanting to part ways. It's like, what am I gonna do? Sell this Chester drawer for $40 on Facebook? I've had the like I raised my children, I put my children's clothes in this. Like, what do you mean? Like
Yeah.
it doesn't have a monetary value. It just has value. So I wonder about
I
that.
get it's hard, but I think for millennials, at least the people I speak with, right?
Mhm,
Like,
mhm.
and just me, like I only know my mind.
Yeah.
But like, I think our younger generations, we value experiences so much more over objects. Like, yes, I might have like my friend might buy a really cool watch and he'll be like, look at this cool watch. Like I just spent 10 grand on this like beautiful Rolex or whatever. I don't know how much a
Yeah.
Rolex costs. I,
Yeah.
I don't know shit about anything, but
No, no, you're
like,
good.
he does have this really nice watch and I'll be like, then he'll hear me say like, oh, I spent 10 grand on this vacation. And he's like, well, that's really dumb
Yeah.
because that vacation is only, a week long where this watch is going to be with me forever in my entire family. But my thought process as like a younger person is Yeah, but that memory of that vacation is with me indefinitely until maybe I
Mhm.
get Alzheimer's or something. And I also have the
Photos and videos.
like looking forward to it happening, and me
True.
and my wife getting to have that experience together. Like, how much is that worth? Yes, it's ephemeral. It goes away, but so does the joy of the beautiful watch. That
Mhm.
beautiful watch might be great for like a week, 2 weeks, but then eventually you habituate to it, and it's just a normal watch.
Yeah, and it's all about give and take, right? Would you rather have 100 Rolexes? Let's say you couldn't sell, but would you rather have 100 Rolexes or 1,000 Rolexes when you die, or 1,000 beautiful trips you took with your family? Like, well, maybe 10 watches max, collector's editions, maybe if you're a watch guy. But the value, it's like, when is too much? When is too much? And it's all about how
Yeah.
how you want to play your game. You're not a watch guy. He's a watch guy. He must not be a vacation guy either. So I don't know. I don't know.
Yeah, it's all a personal decision. And I think so many people get so upset because it comes down to like, well, your values aren't matching with my values.
Yeah.
And I can't be wrong, so you must be wrong. And I think that's why people get so tribal about it, of like, because it's really scary to say like, hey, Dominic, your value of like wanting to be an investor, like a real estate investor, like that doesn't jive
Mm.
with me. Well, we can still be friends. We can still talk about it. I can still push you and be like, hey, man, I think that's awesome for you,
Yeah.
and I don't want to be a part of it.
Yeah. Yeah.
You
Yeah. Yeah.
know?
Exactly. Exactly. Yeah. I mean, it's like the way people would look at like your cold plunge. Like, that's awesome that you do it. Hell no, I'm not getting in that water. Right? That's how most people would look at it. And you're like, cool. Because of that, and this is like a weird like psychology thing too. It's like, good. I'm glad that everybody else isn't doing it. It makes me happier that everybody else isn't doing it. If everybody else did do it, it wouldn't be as fun. It wouldn't be as cool. It
I definitely wouldn't do it if everyone else is
No,
doing it.
no, definitely
Yeah.
not. No, definitely not. Um, it would be a trippy society if we did. What a weird society that would be.
Just people
Everybody,
who like want to do hard things and like grow and become a better
yeah,
place. I don't know. I think society could all
right,
benefit. I think society could really benefit all from doing jujitsu. Like,
yeah,
people need
yeah,
to get humbled, and like,
yeah,
there's a big dude at jujitsu. He's like, I don't know, 6'4", 6'5". Like he's a big
big,
dude,
big,
way
yeah,
bigger than me. And like
yeah,
I'm short. Like I'm not that big. But like he and I going against each other, it's so fun because he's so humble about being like, this guy who weighs like, substantially less than me and is way smaller than me can wreck my day. And it's just so cool. And like it's great because I'm sure like before jujitsu, you're just some big 6'5" giant white dude walking around. Like he's built like a bodybuilder too. Like I'm sure he just kind of thinks like no one can even touch me. But
yeah,
then you go into jujitsu and like someone who is, I don't know how tall I'm, like 5'10", 185, takes you down and like wrecks your day. And now you're like, oh man, everything that I thought in my brain of who I was isn't true. What else can I be wrong about? And it just humbles you so much. I think that's why like people need to go out there. They need to roll. They need to like test themselves. You really need to put your
yeah,
what's going on in your brain against the physics of progress. Like, show yourself that like maybe my shit does kind of stink. And that's cool.
yeah. I mean, one of the greatest skills you can learn is to learn how to lose, because you're gonna lose a lot in life, and that's good. You should lose a lot in life. I hope everybody listening to this podcast loses a lot in this life. But there's a correct way to lose, right? If Chris and I are rolling and he just puts me in an arm bar, gets me and I tap, or I tap and I say, what the hell, Chris? I slap, I throw a punch his way. Like, that's the wrong way to lose. That's not the moral of the story, right? The moral of the story is, wow, he's put time in. I need to put more time in. I need to build my skills up a little bit better so I can compete on a higher level and I can push myself to be even greater than I am currently. To lash out as at a loss, it shows so little emotional intelligence and full
Yeah, it's
intelligence at that.
it's childish. Like you're cosplaying what it is to be a man at that point. Like
Yeah, truthfully.
failure is, yeah, like failure is the most data rich stream of information you can get.
Yeah,
And yes, it hurts.
yeah,
And if you take that and you absorb it into you and you're like, all right, and this is what I learned from that, that's how you grow. That's how you become the person that you want to be.
yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Well, I think with that being said, we're going to move on to Five Friday Feedback Viewer Mailbag. Any final thoughts on the Clint Harris podcast? I know it was a long one. It was a great one. We did a lot on this little recap, and we're only halfway through. and we have an absolute doozy of a viewer mailbag. I'm so excited for this one. This one, the viewer's gonna like. Chris is gonna maybe hate a little bit, but it's gonna be entertaining for all of us. So I'm excited to get into it.
I'm excited. I say we get into it. I do want to just shout out Clint Harris one more time. Thank you so much. And guys, if you have a chance, check out the Truly Passive Income podcast. Really, really great. Just to learn different ways of trying to create truly passive wealth. Yeah. Because just like Clint kind of talked about, truly passive is kind of a misnomer. It's not really real. You have to put in the work at some point. Nothing in life is free. Even if you were happened to come out of your mom and you just were born into a house full of so much money, somebody in your history put in the work. And if you don't put in the work right now, someone in the future will have to suffer for it. So nothing in life is free. You have to put in the work. There's nothing that is truly passive.
True. Yeah.
So thanks, Clint, for coming on.
Absolutely. Yeah. It was very interesting. And broaden your horizons, guys. You might not want to be in the self-storage game, right? Most wouldn't. I get that. But I think it's important to expand your knowledge. There's nothing wrong with learning more things, even if you don't want to expand in that area, right? Me, myself, I learned about handbags. I don't need a handbag. I don't want a handbag. But my mother loves handbags, so I've educated myself on that topic. So when she talks to me about her Fendi purse or her Louis Vuitton or XYZ, I know what she's talking about. Right? So it's good to have knowledge. It's great to be a well-rounded human being, man or woman, comes in handy. And it's just such a respectable way to carry yourself and live as a human being on this wonderful round rock of ours. But with that being said, let's get right into our 5 Friday feedback viewer mailbag. This is where we get a letter from someone in the community. They send it to us. I read it. Chris and I give our 2 cents on it and see if we can help them out a little bit. Give them a little advice on the cheap, on the free. So let's get right into it. Alrighty. Woo! Let's do it. So the header of today's letter is inheritance or insanity. $60,000 windfall, drowning in debt, and no home. Am I doomed? Am I doomed? Alrighty, let's see. What do we got today? All right. I never thought I'd be standing here on the edge of what feels like a financial cliff, clutching a $60,000 inheritance and somehow feeling more lost than ever. This should have been a lifeline, a fresh start, but instead it feels like a cruel joke. The universe laughing in my face while my debts grow like a storm ready to swallow me whole. I live in my late grandmother's house, not mine, hers, sharing the space with my brother, but that's where the sharing ends. I carry most of the weight in regards to the bills, leaving me with just enough to get by and not enough to breathe. It's paycheck to paycheck for me, purely survival mode. And now, with the money in hand, all I see is a million doors closing around me.
So he got $60,000. He
Yes.
gets to live in his late grandmother's house, and everything's shutting on him. Am I hearing that right?
You're hearing that right. Yeah. You're hearing that
Am
right.
I going to be frustrated during
You're
this
going to be
letter?
frustrated. Yeah, you may want to just mute and come back in about 6 minutes.
All right. I'll come back in 5 minutes.
Just come back, yeah. Let me break it down. Let me break down the disaster zone that is my financial life. Alrighty. Student loans. Can you guess? $25,000. As far as student loans go, that's high, but I've heard much higher. Still high. They say $25,000. A boulder tied around my neck less since graduation. That's dark. That's dark. We might have to have some. Maybe I'll start editing some music into this. I don't know. Maybe.
Yeah. Dun, dun, dun.
Dun, dun. Yeah, exactly. We need to set up those little sound effects. We might have to do that live.
Yeah, we've talked about it. We'll do that next time.
Yeah. Credit card debt. So we got some student loans, $25,000, and we got some credit card debt. $22,000 credit card debt. Interest rates feel like they're a ticking time bomb, and the explosion gets closer and closer every month. And for our third and final debt of the week, car loan. $6,000, not massive, but still one more chain shackled to me, they say. That is very unfortunate.
So about $53,000. How much is that? Yeah, 50.
Somewhere in there.
Yeah.
Somewhere north of 50K.
Like that.
Yeah. So 50K, that's a lot. I don't know if they say their age in this one, but 50K anywhere, that's a lot. That's a good amount. So continuing on, stay with me. I got a few paragraphs here. It's time to get deep. Grab your popcorn, boys. So I thought about paying off my car loan just to get a small victory, one less battle to fight. But it's not enough. It's never enough. And and then there's the credit card debt. It feels like it's strangling me. Oh no. Every time I think about pulling ahead, the interest drags me back down like an anchor. I've adjusted my payments to give me a little bit of breathing room, but I've just been delaying the inevitable. It's like putting a band-aid on a bullet wound. Intense. Here's the real torture. Okay then, here's the real torture. I need a home. I want a home. And in the city I live in, home prices are climbing faster than I can ever dream of saving. Every day I watch the possibility of owning a home slip further and further away like sands slipping through my fingers. My heart tells me to stash away the $50,000 of inheritance, clinging to it like a lifeboat, and use it for a down payment. But the moment I start thinking that way, my mind screams at me, what about the debt? How can I even think about buying a home when I'm buried under $50,000 worth of loans and credit card bills that threaten to bury me alive? I feel like I'm trapped in a vicious cycle. Pay off the debt, and I can finally start to breathe. But I'm left with next to nothing. No savings, no hope for a home in this city where housing prices are a monster lurking in the shadows, ready to devour anybody too slow to act. But if I don't pay off the debt, it'll be like dragging a ball and chain into my future home, making every mortgage payment feel like another punch in the gut. Okay. I can't escape the nagging feeling. Oh, and you're going to hate this one. All right. You're going to hate this one. All right. So I can't escape the nagging feeling that this $60,000 from my dead grandmother isn't a blessing. It's a curse. A bitter reminder, dude, a bitter reminder that life is never as simple as it should be. I should be excited, right? I should feel like I've been given a second chance. I know. But instead, I feel like I'm standing in quicksand, and no matter which way I move, I'm sinking deeper and deeper. My stomach twists in knots every time I think about it. Do I dare gamble on a home, hoping that the debt won't drown me? Or do I play it safe and clear the debts and give up my dream of ever owning a home? I find myself fantasizing, really, about what it would be like to inherit more money. Enough to wipe out my debt and get a home. But no, that's not my reality. Instead, I'm standing at a crossroads, terrified to make the wrong move, terrified that no matter what I choose, I'll lose everything. I need help in more ways than one. I need someone to tell me I'm not doomed. Your mindset's kind of cooked. Someone to tell me that there's a way out of this nightmare and that I haven't been set up to fail before I've even started. With a 60K inheritance in hand, do I pay off debts or do I buy some land? How about that? Let the cursing begin. Wowzers. That is send it. Say it.
This poor guy. He is just, he's really living it, man. I mean, what a victim. Like, what a just,
yeah.
Life is just all against him, right? Like grandma only left you $60,000 and a house to live in with your brother.
Mm-hmm. We need
that's a struggle.
GoFundMe or something. We need to save him.
Yeah, I mean, I'm surprised he didn't send us a link.
Genuinely. That is the most entitled letter I think we've ever gotten in about 60 episodes. Yeah, that's
That's
we've
had a few that I've lost my shit on. I found myself not even getting mad in this one. I just felt myself I found myself laughing more than anything because of how ridiculous it is, but it also makes me really sad because what a hell it must be to be in this person's head.
Yeah, that's a crazy way to walk through life. I mean, I'm sure they're getting pissed at everything. Everything's
Yeah,
against
dude.
you. Traffic lights, people in cars, the tax man, your boss, your coworkers, the people you work with. Everything's against you.
Yeah, I was recently at our local grocery store, and I saw a woman just like lose her freaking mind at the checkout counter over I don't know what it was, but just
Doesn't even
losing her
matter
mind.
what it was,
It
you know?
doesn't even matter. She's losing her mind, and I'm sitting there, and like obviously you want to say something, but like I'm a big brown dude. Like I'm not gonna walk up to some like Karen looking white lady and like tell her to calm down. Like that's just not gonna go well for me.
Yeah.
Um,
And they just
but like
can't do
she's
that.
freaking out. Yeah.
Yeah.
So she's like freaking out, and I'm sitting there, and I'm like, you know what? I feel bad for the person getting yelled at. But you know who else I feel bad for? I feel bad for that lady who's freaking out because what hell must it be like? Because she doesn't want to be that person. Like it's kind of like you're dealing with like a 2-year-old, and like a 2-year-old like who is just enveloped in their emotions. And like what do little kids need? They need structure, they need order, they need to be told like what you're doing is not okay. And that's almost what I hear inside of this letter is like there's somebody who their life objectively compared to majority of the other things we've gotten here in these 5 Friday feedbacks is looking really on the upside, but they are choosing, maybe not consciously but unconsciously choosing to only focus on the negative, just like that woman screaming at somebody in the checkout aisle. I feel empathy for them to be like, it must be really hard to be you. It must be so hard to live in that hell all the time. Be that person that freaks out, that gets $60,000 and goes, damn it, grandma, only 60.
No appreciation for the gift. Like, that was life, energy, time, translated to money from a woman who let you stay at her home, who cared for you. Zero appreciation. Zero. Disgusting. If I'm the grandma and I got resurrected, I came back, I'd be like, I'm taking that 60 G's. It's gone. Good luck. Good luck.
Yeah, and I'm donating the house.
Exactly. Even better. Even better. What a
I
brat.
wonder. So, like, yeah, he's saying like, oh, it's not even my house; it's my grandma's house. So I'm assuming that the house is either like in a trust or it's currently like going down to like one of his parents, like to one of the kids of the grandma. But regardless, like, I don't know if he's paying anything on the mortgage or anything like that. But if it was grandma's house, I'm assuming not, because
Yeah.
most
Most
grandmas
grandmas.
aren't
You gotta
paying a
pay it
mortgage
off.
on the house.
Yeah.
So he gets to live for free.
Yep.
Yeah, it sucks that your brother isn't pulling his weight, but that's a conversation to be had,
Yeah.
not something to just avoid and complain about.
Mhm.
But like, yeah, you're $50,000 in debt. 25 of it is the credit is student loans. And yeah, that's kind of part of life. You take out student loans, and ideally you get a better job than you would have been able to qualify for without taking out the student loans, and you pay those off. The $22,000 in credit card debt, and I don't know how long you've been living at grandma's, but that is only on you. The $6,000 in additional car payment, not that big, that is only on you. You have enough money right now. You just got $60,000. You just got a full reset to reset your life and to learn from your mistakes. But unfortunately, and I really hope that you hear me, if you just take this money, you pay off this debt, you are not going to learn jack shit. You're going to put yourself inside the same situation. And I've seen this from clients who go over and over and over again to the same thing because they've never had to put in the hard work. Because if I put myself into $60,000 of debt, it's okay. Grandpa will die, lady. Mom or dad will die. Someone will bail me out. And I fear that it doesn't matter what happens. I really don't care what you choose to do with this money. First off, you can't afford a house. You have $60,000 in debt, and half of that almost is high payment. Even if you did afford the house, I could guarantee you'd probably be evicted in a few years.
Yeah. You're not mentally ready for a house. You're not financially ready for a house. You're not financially mature enough to take on the responsibility of a house. It's not just a mortgage payment. It's very expensive owning a house. Everybody knows this, right? I wish it was just a mortgage payment. I wish it was just that, however much it is in your area. But to think that it's between getting a house and paying off your debts, that's lunacy. That 50,000 is going to get eaten up immediately. And for what? 1, 2, 3, 4, 4 more walls? What? What are you talking about? What are you talking about? Like, it makes no sense. Pay off the debt. But at the same time, you're not learning anything from this. I'm not even sure. I mean, you sound scared, but that's fear and not knowledge.
Yeah.
I don't know how to
So,
help.
so when if this was a client of mine, that's what I'm going to act as. This is someone I'm like trying to help out. When it comes to the student loans and it comes to the car and it comes to the credit cards, obviously you didn't tell me what the interest rates are. I don't even know if you know what the interest rates are. I don't know if you know what interest rates really mean. But in general, student loans, car loans, 7 to 9% interest. So high, but not like hair on fire type of high.
Mhm.
Credit card interest, 15, 20, 30%. That's hair on fire type of high interest. That means anytime you don't make those payments, every 3 years or so, that payment is doubling. So your debt goes from 100 to 200 to 400 to 800 to 1600 and just continues on that way, just based off the interest rate. And we back that up by dividing the interest rate into 72. So if I was him, I would prioritize paying off the credit card debt. You just got a $60,000 windfall from your grandma, and sorry she didn't leave you more. I know. How dare she? She should have known that you needed more than just 60 and left it to somebody else.
She should have mortgaged the house, clearly.
She should have mortgaged the house and given that to you. But what I would do is I would take out 22,000 of that and I would get rid of the credit card debt immediately. From there, you can work on the student loans, you can work on the car payment and make those monthly depending on what kind of job you have. I don't even know if you're working right now.
True.
Like, I have no idea. But my assumption is probably you're not. You're probably living in your grandma's old home. Woe is me in this. Mm-hmm. But so say you take out that money, that still gives you like $35,000 or so to have your emergency fund, to go out into the world to start trying to do this stuff. You can't afford a house. $35,000 is not enough money to buy a house in any way, shape, or form. Yeah, maybe it'll qualify you to get into the house. I don't know what kind of income you're bringing in. How are you going to qualify for all this? And even if you did get into the house, you don't seem to have the emotional maturity, the mental maturity, or the financial maturity to maintain a home.
100%.
And what about your poor brother? You're going to leave him there alone? I wonder if his brother got $60,000 too.
Imagine. Next week, right into us. I invested $60,000 in a S&P fund and everything is going great. Yeah, that is tough.
Yeah, I mean, when it comes down to it, man, like you were so freaking blessed right now. Mm-hmm. And the story that you're telling yourself is just such a shitty story. You put inside here something about like, I should have received more, or I should feel like I'm given a second chance, but instead I feel like I'm standing in quicksand and no matter which move, I sink deeper. My stomach twists with every turn. Do I gamble it on a home or do I continue to drown in debt? That word right there, should. I should have more money. I should be better. I should be doing this. You're telling yourself a story. And rather than telling yourself the story of how blessed you are that you get to live in your grandma's old home, that you got $60,000, you're telling yourself the story that I should have had a bigger home and $120,000. But no matter what you would have left, I guarantee you the story would have changed. Because what could have happened is grandma could have died and you could have gotten kicked out of her house. And then due to you getting kicked out of her house, you got no inheritance because maybe grandma had a bunch of bills or something that she had to pay. Yes, history unfolded that you got the house, to live inside the house at least, and $60,000. But history very easily could have unfolded that you had nothing. Mm-hmm. And then at that point, you're trying to live on your own. So now you're paying a mortgage and you have over $50,000 in debt and no additional money. So if I was you, I'd be thanking grandma, praying to her every single night, saying, thank you so much and handle your shit.
Yeah, this is not even a financial issue. It's an adult issue. It's a responsibility issue. It's an accountability issue. And it's just, unfortunately, not something that you can really teach.
Yeah, this is going to come with maturity. This is going to come with time. I'm sure our listener, I don't know what he thought I was going to say. I know I'm pretty kind on these things, but I think we probably just lost a subscriber and that's okay. But I really hope that like you hear what I'm saying and like, I want you to grow. I want you to be better. That's why it's so frustrating to me to hear that like, yeah, I'm living in grandma's house and I only got $60,000 and like, woe is me. Everything is so hard against me. You have made conscious decisions every single step of the way to put you where you are right now. And in front of you right now, you have infinite number of doors that you can go through. And you are choosing to walk through the wrong door. No, not even doors. They're paths. You can see the path ahead of you, but you're choosing to walk down the bad path every single time. You have infinite lives that are ahead of you right now. The fucked up part about life is you only get to choose one, but you get to consciously choose it. And you are choosing to stay on the worst path that you possibly can. So please divert your path. Start trying to get better, a little bit better every single day. You can hate me. You can blame me, just like you blame grandma for not leaving you more money. Please, if you hear one thing, get your head right. You need to start being an adult. You are a boy cosplaying as a man. Yeah. It's unacceptable.
So true. It's so true.
There it is.
There it is. That is our summary of your mailbag. Best of luck.
Do you have anything else to say to our great friend?
I don't have the energy to say it. I just don't have the energy to say it, honestly. What am I gonna say? What can I say? You know, what can I even say to that? There's nothing I can say. There's nothing that I can say that would even matter. So, best of luck. Lean on your brother for help more. I hope you two create a better relationship with each other. Remember, it's not you versus him. You're a team. Act like it. You know, it should be a dual income home with no mortgage over it. You guys split the bills and you guys maybe pool your money to for something. I don't know. I don't know. Go to the gym. Jiu-jitsu. Eat healthy. I don't know. I don't know. Read a Jocko book. That's what I have. I mean, this is to say that this is like the mindset where it's at. And I'm not trying to be mean or disrespectful, but I'm going to say it how I see it. If a person's starting from zero and they're just a baby, like a baby's mindset, right? It's just blank. And on one side, you have Chris, right? And on the other side, you have this guy, this person. Chris is on the right side. This guy is on the wrong side. You're not even starting from zero here. You're so far in the red that we have to rewrite your way of life, your way of thinking. You have to completely change your victim mentality. And you're going to have to learn how to take extreme ownership. You should probably pick up the book Extreme Ownership by Jocko Willink. Honestly, if you're going to spend any of this money right now, $7 of that should probably go to that or to a library card. I mean, how can you work on a broken foundation? I don't think you can. I think you do need to address the financial side of it immediately. But my biggest fear is they pay off the debt, which is crazy.
Right back into it.
Right. You're going to be right. And I'm not trying to be disrespectful or rude, but you're not new. You're not unique. This happens every day. Of course, you're going to go back into it. You haven't fixed the habit. Obviously, your relationship with money and how you react with the world is a very flawed and inefficient way to conduct yourself in today's society. And genuinely, I think you got to read Extreme Ownership, burn through that book, and then reread it. And then Dichotomy of Leadership. And you have to get some perspective in your life. So probably the David Goggins book. That's a good one for perspective. Rich Dad, Poor Dad. That might even help a little bit.
You know what I would do if I was this kid? Mm-hmm. Like if I was this kid's parents, I'd drop them off in the fucking hood and just be like, survive.
Yeah. Yeah.
And like you get to see some like real shit. Like this is the reason that I love traveling so much and like going off the beaten path is you get to like, America, objectively, there are some things wrong with it. Yeah. 100%. And I love the country that I live in. Mm-hmm. But when you get to go to other countries,
dude,
every time I come back, there's never been a time where I'm like, oh God, I'm back in America. With the exception of Japan. When I came back from Japan, I was like, Japan was cooler.
Yeah.
Japan was really cool.
That's fair. One exception.
Yeah, but like I'm always so happy to come back. Mm-hmm. There's never really been a place where I'm like, I would choose this place over being in America.
Yeah.
Because yes, things are not perfect, but it's so much better than other places. And other places are super cool. And whatever you enjoy is up to you. But if you're sitting there thinking that like I have the worst life in the world, You just don't. I listened to a podcast earlier about a guy who spent 20 years in prison. He did dumb stuff as a kid, grew up in the hood, gangbanging, just kind of thinking like, this is the way, this is what we do. And he got popped for it, 20 years in prison. And while he was in there, he looked at it as an opportunity. He looked at it as 20 years of his ability to learn. And all he did was he read as much as he could. He was in the library in prison every single day learning. And now he's come out of prison and he fixed his mindset in prison to no longer be a victim anymore. Because it doesn't matter. Yeah, he was a young black man. And of course, everyone was against him. But he decided that no matter what all those people do, I'm still going to be better than you. There's an old Kobe Bryant quote that I like. It's that boos don't block dunks. So there is a time that Kobe Bryant, one of the best ball players in history, scored 80 points in a game. And the opponent team spent millions of dollars on 8 other players to stop him from doing that. And he was so freaking good that they couldn't stop that. Boos don't block dunks. You can get so good in this world by working hard every single day that no matter what other people try to do to stop you, they can't.
That's awesome. We're going to end on that one. Doesn't get better than that. Best of luck. Genuinely. I know we gave a lot of harsh insights, but we genuinely want the best for you. We don't care about you.
That's why I'm frustrated.
To hate you, right? To hate your decisions. We don't hate really anything. So we just want to see you succeed. We have no dog in your fight. We just want to see you succeed. And I hope you listen and hope you take some action. Most importantly, hope you take some action and start rewriting yourself because you can do it. You can do it. That's all I'm going to say. With that being said, best of luck. On to our next part of the podcast. This is where we get our win of the week, where we kind of end off on a little bit of a higher note. Chris, what is your win of the week?
So my win of the week is my wife is surprisingly lucky when it comes to raffles. Like ever since I've known her, she always wins raffles. Like, I don't know. I should just I should have her be the financial advisor. Just give her a portfolio. Like she's so freaking lucky when it comes to this kind of stuff. So recently at work, she won 3 nights in Sedona, like this beautiful property in Sedona from, I think it's Verbo or Airbnb, something like that. But we booked some time in April. We're going to go out with our friends because it's like a house big enough to support like 19 people or something like that. We're only going to bring like 8.
That's
I think we're only going to bring like 6 or 8.
Yeah.
But it's on like multiple acres. So I think the value of that's like $2,500 for 3 nights there. Like that's how big this property is. So we are very excited to go out there and spend some time with friends and just kind of get away and disconnect for a little bit for a few days. So, it's my wife's win really, but we're a team. So
exactly. There you go.
Yeah. Her wins are my wins. My losses are her losses.
Yeah, exactly. Well, that's awesome. I gotta know her secret. I gotta know her secret for those raffles.
Yeah, me too. I haven't figured it out.
I haven't figured it out either. Yeah, that's pretty good. My win of the week is also kind of a loss of the week. So if you know me, I'm not big on traffic. I don't like traffic too much. So they have this protein powder at Costco. I do love value. I like value, right? And I cannot stand Costco. I do not like it at all. I'm a Sam's Club guy through and through. Everything about Sam's Club, I just prefer it over Costco. But my mom has a Costco membership, so in turn, I have a Costco membership, right? So I'm driving to Costco. It's 11 a.m. on a Thursday. I'm like, oh, good. Before everybody gets off work, no problem, no issue. I get there, and there's literally every cart has been taken. Right? It's Arizona, so the snowbirds have come back to rule the roads and take all the carts, and it is very annoying. So I come in. I'm already in a bad mood. I'm in a bad mood, right? And I don't get in a bad mood very often, but I'm not happy. I'm kind of ticked. So I walk up. There's no carts. I gotta go in. I say I'm gonna get some food. I'm hungry. I'm hangry, really. I get my chicken bake. I know it's not the healthiest, and it has shrunk in size. Thankfully, the price is still the same. Whatever. Get my chicken bake. Whatever. I finally find a cart. I basically steal it from an old lady. That's not true, but I found a cart.
Move.
Ooh, just suplex her and toss her. And she's fine. She actually beat me up in the parking lot later that day. Anyway, going around. My win of the week is that I got so many groceries for not the most money, right? But the main thing I'm super excited about, they have this protein powder. I know you don't do protein powder, but they have this protein powder. It's 70 servings. It's like 25 grams of protein for like $44. If you know anything about protein powder, that's a pretty good deal. And I just got it. I just got it recently, like yesterday. I'm so freaking excited to just crack this thing open. I use the protein powder in my overnight oats usually because I don't like making protein shakes. They're usually pretty nasty, but I love using it in my overnight oats. So it's continuing me growing my protein intake, reducing my body fat. So that is what I'm super excited about. And I will say, it's kind of interesting. I don't know if you guys believe in God. Me personally, I believe in God. I'm at my happiness. I'm at my happiness. When I'm at peak happiness.
Happiest.
There we go. When I'm at my peak happiness, right, is when I'm helping people. I love to help people. I love to make people smile, right? So I'm walking back to the parking lot. I'm not the happiest. I'm still in a bad mood. I took a picture. I'll send it to you. The lines were. I was like, if this is like what it's like during Christmas, I'm not coming here, and I wouldn't. But I'm getting through the parking lot, right? And of course, there's a big truck parked right next to me, and I can't see getting out. And he's loading up his stuff. I'm loading up my stuff. He's got these papers. All of a sudden, a gust of wind goes right through, knocks all of his papers out. He goes, oh no. And I immediately, jump right to it. I start picking up the papers, helping him. He's like, oh, thank you so much. I'm an older guy. I'm like, yeah, no problem. No issue. He goes to put his cart back. He's like, let me grab that cart for you. I'm like, it was far. It was far. I was like, are you sure? He's like, pleasure. I'm like, and I appreciate that. So I'm backing out. I was like, I should get some air in my tank. I flow into the place where you get the air, and they've got these new machines. I've never seen them before, and I got to learn how to use it real quick. Fill it up, set it to 35. That's what my tires are. And this lady comes out. She's like trying to figure out. She's like, how does this work? I'm like, yeah, you just put in. And I was trying to explain it to her, and she's like, okay. Goes around, fills up a tire, and then can't get it off. And she's like, it's kind of funny. She used some very derogatory language that I'm not going to repeat on. So it's kind of funny. Like, she's this little old lady, and I don't want to sound retarded or nothing, but like, I have no idea how to get this off. And I was like, no, you're fine. I'll come help you. And I ended up filling up all 4 of her tires. And she was just so happy about it. She was so happy about it. And like, seeing the smile, like making someone's day, like when someone needs help, being there to help them is the greatest joy. I love it. And it turned my entire Costco fiasco around. I was like, you know what? This is a great day. This is an amazing day because I got to help 2 people today. That's awesome. So my win of the week is I got hella protein. A lot of protein. Also, there was an extra avocado in my avocado bag. That's a small win. That's a win. Avocados.
That's a win.
They're so freaking expensive. So that's dumb. The first one I picked out, it was like 6 avocados in a bag. I got 7. Blessed be the maker. So yeah, that's my win of the week. The avocado, the helping people, and the hella protein powder. So that's what I got.
Can I add one?
Please.
Can I add one?
Please.
So I love the young generation and their use of words that I don't understand. And it's really sad for me to say that, like, I didn't know what Riz mean. Like, I didn't know any of these words. And I hear them talking. And I'm like, and now I'm that old guy that I'm like, I don't know what you're saying. And it makes me mad. But so you use the R word there. Like, that's what that old lady said.
Yeah.
So did you know that they have a word for that is politically correct? And I love it.
Oh, what is it? What?
Medically stupid.
Dude, that's great.
So like, yeah, I heard someone say that because someone was doing something. It was at jiu-jitsu, and they're like, "Are you medically stupid?" And I was like, "What was that?" Not to me. They said it to somebody else. They're like, medically stupid. It's like the new word. This is how we say this, and I'm like, I love that.
That's like, so PC. I love it.
Yeah.
I feel like I can.
I don't understand majority of what you're saying, young man, but I like that word, and I'm taking that.
Oh man, that's so insulting too. Are you mentally stupid?
No, medically
stupid? Oh my god. That's hilarious. Gold. That's so good. Gold.
Maybe we need to add a section to the podcast of like what I learned from listening to young people talk.
Yes. I love it. We need a new segment on Monday's pod. That's awesome. they are coming up with words so fast that it's those and sayings. Like I heard a new saying the other day was big and greedy. That's like, yeah, I don't know. I gotta figure that one out. Maybe next week's pod I'll figure that one out. But yeah, don't be big and greedy. Don't be big and greedy. So yeah, or medically stupid. Yeah.
Yeah, you got to make sure you have the good Riz, and that's all that it is.
That's what it is. All right. Well, we're getting older by the second, so we're gonna end this podcast before we embarrass ourselves anymore. I hope you guys enjoyed today's episode. I know I did an absolute doozy when it came to the viewer mailbag. Also, win of the week was goated. And again, if you don't remember, many years ago at the start of this podcast, we were talking about Clint Harris. Clint Harris, that is, and his Monday episode that we had him on. Great episode. I highly recommend you guys go out, check that out. But with that being said, if you're not already following the channel, follow the channel. If you're on YouTube, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google Podcasts, wherever you are watching or listening, give us a follow. Please, for the love of me. We don't ask for much, but I do ask for one thing, and that is that you share this podcast with someone that you would like to see succeed. You're the type of person that's probably pretty caring, I hope. Hopefully you're not heartless and soulless and godless. You know, maybe you have a moral compass. That would be ideal. And hopefully with that compass, you share this podcast with someone who deserves financial independence, deserves financial freedom. We believe everybody should, but not everybody's going to. So with your help, you can share that message. But till next time, Chris, any final thoughts you got for us?
No, just spread the word. I mean, we're trying to tell everyone about financial dependence. I mean, come on, we got Wiz. We're cool. We're the cat's whiskers. We're not super old. So start telling people about us, and we'll see you on Monday.
Oh, that was so bad. And the pod.
I'm trying.
And the pod. You know what? And I love that. We're Bye guys turn try guys. I love it. All right, guys. We'll see you guys next week. Later. Peace.
Later.
This video podcast is sponsored by Monzon Wealth. The content in this podcast is for informational purposes only and should not be considered financial advice. We do not endorse specific products or services. Past performance does not guarantee future results. The opinions expressed are those of the host and guests, not the podcast sponsor. It is crucial to consult with a qualified financial advisor or professional who can provide advice tailored to your specific needs before making any financial decisions, investments, or taking any other actions. If you are seeking specified help, you can reach out to Chris at monzonwealth.com.